Hello everyone, this is World Exposure. You know, I've flown many times since 9/11, and I have not yet gone through any of the extreme TSA abuse that I have recently heard many people complaining about. But whenever I go through security at the airports, I still feel like I'm being booked for jail. I mean, I can't believe with all of the technology that they have with x-rays and metal detectors that we still have to take off our shoes when we are being screened. I mean, look, I'm all for better safety and security, but things like that just does not make any sense to me. Can you imagine how much faster the process would be if we could have a machine to just x-ray the inside of our shoes instead? I mean, there are reports out that show us that the TSA does not even screen their own employees properly. There was a TSA employee at Boston Logan International Airport whose job was to pat down passengers that had multiple charges of sex crimes on an underage girl. One can't help but wonder why he applied for this job. What if this maggot also had access to one of these naked body x-ray scanners so that he could look at you or your children? Those dangerous radiation scanners is something else that is unconstitutional. And while they're screening and groping your children, they are not even screening their own employees properly. Illegal immigrants from Mexico and Central America were found working at Stewart International Airport in New York City because the TSA's background check could not even pick up on their fake documents and fake social security numbers. And if all of this is not enough, the TSA also approved flight training for more than 30 illegal aliens for a flight school outside of Boston. Just like the 9/11 hijackers, these illegal aliens were provided with official TSA documents approving them for flight school in the TSA's own alien flight student program. So you see, it's the TSA's fault for putting us through all this BS in the first place. And we're the ones who are being punished for it? Now, I'm sure many of you have even heard the audio of the lady who refused a naked body scan, was yelled at, handcuffed to a chair, had her airline ticket ripped up in her face, and had 12 police officers called in to watch her and then throw her out of the airport. If you have not heard it, you probably should. It gives you a victim's testimony of what people are going through. And another testimony that I have heard was a man at Fort Lauderdale's airport in Florida who said that the TSA employee put his hand inside of his underwear and felt him all the way around. And just today I saw a video with a man at the San Diego airport who was on his way to go through the metal detector when one of the TSA agents asked him to go through the x-ray scanner. Now, when he opted out of that, they told him they were going to give him a groin search where they explained to him that they would feel up his inner thigh and his groin. The people in front of him were opting out of the x-ray scanner, and they were not subject to a pat-down. Anyway, when he refused that embarrassing, public humiliating pat-down, the TSA said that his only other option was to leave the airport. And when he tried to leave, one of the TSA agents tried to interrogate him. When he reminded the TSA agent that he was illegally detaining him against his will, the agent told him that he was just trying to be friendly and that no one was making him stay. When the man said he was going to leave then, the agent told him that they would then bring civil suit against him. Now, if anyone has a civil suit, it's this man against the TSA. This guy could bring up multiple civil suits against them. It does not make any sense to randomly and arbitrarily force only certain people to undergo a pat-down. This guy also said that according to the TSA's website, that San Diego was not even listed as one of the airports with x-rays. So people are probably going through these naked x-ray scans and don't even know about it. Anyway, many pilots and flight attendants are refusing these scans, mostly from constantly being bombarded with doses of radiation every time they have to go to work, much less allowing themselves to be seen naked by total strangers. I can't understand why a crew member, given the proper identification to a TSA agent, wouldn't be omitted from having to go through the x-ray scanner in the first place. Now, this is a prime example of how our government is getting bigger and bigger and way out of control. Like the guy in San Diego said, if it was someone other than the government doing this, it would be considered sexual assault. The TSA needs to look within its own organization for security problems. And they are giving documents to illegal aliens to go into their own flight school. They did the same thing with the 9/11 terrorists, and they have put us in this position, making us the criminals. They are also allowing sex criminals to have positions where they're allowed to feel on you or your children. No TSA agent should be allowed to do that. Many people are calling on the boycott of all air travel in the United States. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that entirely, since our economy is already a disaster and the airlines are one of the main industries that keep the other industries going. Besides, you would just be hurting the crew members of the airlines who are already having to go through that same public humiliation procedures that you are. You could stand up against the TSA if you are flying November 24th, National Opt-Out Day, where the grassroots organization We Won't Fly is organizing a mass X-ray opt-out in the United States that day. They are calling on everyone to opt out of the backscatter X-ray scanners and pat-downs. Not everyone who opts out will be forced to a pat-down, but some will. Anyway, this would demonstrate a national protest against these pat-downs and backscatter X-rays. And these scanners, by the way, have been reported to show details such as surgical scars and even discern if a woman is on her menstrual cycle or not. They can also store and share the images.